So I want to talk about what I think is some unappreciated Alan Moore. Anytime that you get a list of things that are must-reads by Alan Moore, Watchmen always seems to be at the top of the list. I think that V for Vendetta is maybe the best thing that he's ever written. It's just brilliant on so many levels. It taught me whenever I was young that it was okay to have an idea, that you didn't have to conform with what everybody else thought, that it wasn't the person that had the idea, it was just that the idea existed. And well, it led me to kind of think for myself over the years. Anybody that hasn't read V for Vendetta, I don't really know why. I'm sure you've seen the movie. The comic differs a little bit from the movie. They're more or less along the same lines. Some of the characters are a little bit different. They merged some of the characters in the movie. But, I mean, Alan Moore, he's real good at storytelling. I mean, he is going to go in depth and make you just feel like you're there. And in this totalitarian state of V for Vendetta, that's a pretty scary place to be. You don't have your own ideas. You have the ideas that are given to you by this totalitarian regime that resembles the Nazis. And I think that's probably the reason that the Guy Fawkes masks are so synonymous with the Anonymous movement and Occupy movements and this, that, and the other, is that, like B says in the book, it's not necessarily the face that matters, it's the idea behind the mask that matters. And I think that that's a real good idea. This book's basically a guy, he's pissed off because he was stuck in a concentration camp-like thing and experimented on. He decides that once he gets out, he's going to get back at the people who did it to him, get back at the government that allowed it to happen. And he adopts the Guy Fawkes mask. He was part of something called the Gunpowder Plot way back in, I believe, the early 1600s, that failed miserably. They still celebrate it, I think, in England by shooting off fireworks and such. But anyway, in this, he adopts Evie and shows her that the way she has been so docile to things going on around her and thinking that everything was okay was not okay, and that she should think for herself, have her own ideas. And by the end of it, not only her, but a lot of other people, even people in the government, have changed their stance on things. Just having that idea out there opens their eyes to the fact that things are not the way they should be. And so this is a great book. I wish that when I saw list of Alan Moore that this was at the top of the list. Another really good book is Saga Swamp Thing. This book has got real old-timey art. It's from the early 80s. It's one of the first things that I think really got Alan Moore recognized in the United States, was doing Swamp Thing. These stories are great. This compiles about, I don't know in this edition, I think it's about 20 issues or so. It's 2 story arcs. But it is really, really good. It's early in Swamp Thing. He's not really Swamp Thing yet. Well, I guess he is because he's converted. But it's his coming to grips with the being converted. Abigail also is coming to grips with the fact that she's a portal to evil. There is just so much good stuff in this book. And I've seen a couple of top 10 lists. I know that this is on the essentials a lot of times, but I've seen a bunch of people's top 10 lists that don't even list that. And that is a great book. Also, Promethea. This is great. It's Alan Moore. It's J.H. Williams III, who is just an awesome artist. He's a creator of Batwoman. Well, not the creator. He's the creator of the current Batwoman. But this is just a beautiful book. His artwork, the way he lays out panels, is just great. The story by Alan Moore is fantastic. I mean, you can't beat her. But I don't even ever see this brought up. And basically it's a modern day reimagining of the Prometheus story that is done with a woman. There's multi-generations. Every generation the Promethea is cast onto another woman, and this right here follows her journey of deciding that she is now basically a god. And oh look, in the back it even shows an advertisement for the Swamp Thing, though maybe I'm not right. But I think that this book should be a whole lot more highly recommended than it is. But Promethea is basically, she has been around for thousands of years, and every generation has a different one. And like I said, J.H. Williams III, if you haven't read the Batwoman Elegy, it's a great story. Makes me wish that he would come back to Batwoman, but I understand that he has to do the Sandman Overture right now. But I'm not talking about J.H. Williams III, I'm talking about Alan Moore. Also, From Hell is a great book. Call it a book because it is a thick piece of work. I don't have a copy of that right now because I gave it away for a Christmas present, but I will soon have a copy. As soon as I have an extra $40 to spend on my third copy of it. But From Hell is great. It's about a detective in London, and like all other Alan Moore, he just makes you feel like you're there. You feel the grit of 1880s, 1890s London. It's a little darker than some of his other stuff. Has a not really afraid. One thing about Alan Moore is he's always about shock value. I mean, in everything he does, he's always about shock value. Always about making you, when you're reading the story, be shocked. And that's something that definitely in From Hell that is definitely there, because there are several things in that almost make you just want to put down the book. It's just so dark because of how in-depth his storytelling is. I mean, he just makes you feel the buildings of that era and the history behind all of them. And I guess that there's other books. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, that gets brought up a lot in the top 10 list, so I don't really think that that's something that needs to be brought up. But I guess really my point is that a lot of people just read Watchmen, and I don't get that. I think that there's so much other good Alan Moore out there. I hope that he doesn't cast some spell on me with his wizard powers, Um, but anyway, those are my kind of unappreciated Alan Moore things. Definitely this. It's more current, but highly recommend this to anybody that likes Alan Moore that hasn't read this. It is really, really good. I believe that there's 4 volumes of it. I know there's 3. I've got 3. But excellent story, excellent art, and I believe a must read.